Okay, good. Hello, 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 and good afternoon, good afternoon. And good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. My name is David Franco, and I am the Vice President of Academic Affairs here at Full Sail University. And I'm so happy to be hosting once again our 7th annual. I had to look on the piece of paper and see. I can't believe it's 7 years now. 7 years, 7th annual Halloween Makeup Unmasked. Always presented by our friends LibraryLive. So let's give it up for LibraryLive. And I want to introduce to you a few of our friends up here who are helping out and putting on this makeup demonstration. Our teachers, our educators here to help and serve all of you at any time. And a good friend of mine who I've been working with for a very long time. 2005, holy cow. And I hired her, too, a long time ago. Kim Carlisle. Give it up for Kim. And Kim is our course director for our makeup program. And then we have our good friend Val Costa over here. Give it up for Val. Bradley Erb over here. Give it up for Bradley. And Cesar Castano. Cesar, give it up. So I'm going to let you guys kind of kick it off a little bit more and talk about what we're doing and how we're doing it, and tell us what you're doing right now.
A couple little things to give you some ideas for Halloween. We're all trying to use things that are easy to find locally, so so you don't have to go out and buy all this special stuff. So we thought we'd show you some cool ideas, and we're all each doing something different. So should we just go down the line and talk about what we're each doing? You want to go first, Brad?
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to be turning him into half of a demon, which is why I only shaved half of his face today. He's a great guy for doing that.
Yeah.
Which is also pretty cool to watch, just like as it is.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, demon face over
which
there.
products are you gonna use?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh,
tell
yeah,
us
I'm
a
going to
little
be using some liquid latex, a little bit of Prozac, and then for the horn, I'm actually going to be taking a cosmetic sponge and cutting that to make the horn and then painting that, so you don't have to get any fancy prosthetics. And we'll be airbrushing him, just to show some airbrushing techniques, but you can do this without an airbrush.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn Tara. Do you guys know Tara? This is Tara Hartnett. She just recently graduated and is a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And today I'm going to gouge her eyes out.
Ooh.
That's what
Because
kind of
why
friends
not?
we are. Yeah.
And I'm here with Amanda, and I'm going to turn her into a pumpkin head / maybe like a scarecrow, but more like a pumpkin head. But I do have some burlap. But I was indecisive. Story of my life. And I'm going to use, you can of course use anything that you find like in your backyard, like moss or like hay or plants, leaves, anything like that. Or you can buy some, like if you don't want to use those things, you can buy something that, like for instance Hobby Lobby, that has all these things for 40% off. Woohoo! We like discounts. Yeah.
Shop local.
Yeah, it's not even Halloween, but they're already doing discounts. So we'll embrace that. And then on top of that, I'm going to be using some gelatin, which you can easily make at home. And we're going to talk about that later. And then I have some powders, some paint. You can use like water-based colors. You can use creams. Like if you have like some lipsticks, whatever works, you know. So yeah, those are going to be the materials that we're going to use.
Hello everyone, I'm gonna do a zombie. It's a medieval zombie. I love doing zombies. Paul knows that since I was a student here. But pretty much I'm gonna use gelatin, and pretty much my specialty is face paint. So I'm not gonna use like a lot of stuff. It's pretty much like give depth with the color. Okay, so it's pretty much that.
And with the gelatin and with the latex, the removal is just like peeling, so you don't need any like special remover for that. If you are allergic to latex, you can use, there's a product called watermelon. Sounds funny, right? But it's a thing, and it feels like latex, but it's not latex. So for those of you allergic to latex, that's an alternative. Awesome.
Awesome.
So also, I just wanted to mention too that Bradley is a current student here right now at Full Sail, and Caesar graduated recently. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Power.
All right, I'm gonna have you scooch over.
Off and running.
I'm gonna start.
So Kim, while you're getting ready for a few of these things, and I know
Yes.
you're usually
And the
good
glasses.
about talking about some of the products that you're using, because when you're an average person like myself, a lot of us, affordability comes into play. How do you get these products? Just can you maybe tell us a little bit about what you're using, and maybe what some of people like me that maybe can't afford what you're using, that I can maybe purchase at home, that you prefer or think that are some of the best products, and some of the mediocre products that can still do the job that we can afford.
Okay. No. So what I'm using right now is a Mayron Celebre palette. This is all cream makeup. So basically, if you get a cream makeup, it will have this creamy consistency. They're easy to blend. So any kind of cream makeup would work for most of the stuff we're doing today. So this is Mayron, but you can buy another type of cream makeup. And so let's see. We have here some thick blood, which is great, and it's really thick, so like it's not like liquid at all. It just stays where you put it. We have this big gallon of blood here, which I think we made this. We just are still using the bottle, but blood is really easy to make. There's millions of recipes online to make blood, depending on what you are looking for, what you're going to put it on, how long you need it to last. Is it fresh blood? Is it old blood? There's all different kinds of blood, all different kinds of recipes. So, and this usually is safe to put in your mouth, so you can put it in your mouth just for effect, not really, to drink, but for effect. Blood out of your mouth is good. Are you going to use the blow dryer for a second? All right, let me just say this. So if you guys have any questions, just shout them out or get Dave's attention, and we'll just answer questions as we go along. There's 4 of us. I don't know how this is going to play out, but we're going to try not to talk all over each other. So we'll just see what happens.
So a few things on there. We're obviously streaming live throughout the world tonight. We're on YouTube, and we're also doing Facebook Live, so we're going to take questions from your fellow sisters and brothers from all over the planet, right, as well as from you. So if you just want to raise your hand, too, I can answer or run as fast as I can so we can get your questions answered. We have 4 people up here. I know sometimes it's a little bit hard to see. And maybe Bradley can maybe angle a little bit, so we can kind of see a little bit and make sure we get that on the camera up there. But we'll try to get that in there as much as possible too. So I think we have a question back here.
Okay.
Hi, Lindsay.
So I was wondering what Caesar is doing. He looks like you're marking up dimensions or a blueprint or something of what you're going to be doing. Can you explain that?
Yes. So for me, I like, I draw at home, I like to draw.
He's an amazing artist, although he doesn't want to ever show his drawings.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel nervous for, like, pretty much, like, judgment. But now I'm doing this, But as now responding to your answer, I like to sketch first what I'm going to do. So I have a guide. So, for example, here, I'm just touching her bones and just marking it up. So then, like, start painting. But pretty much, as you can see, now you see, like, her bones. And it will be easier for me to just put the gelatin or start painting everything. But, like, the makeup that I'm going to do today is pretty easy. But if you take, like, a little bit of your time, it's going to look pretty cool.
It's okay, because I'm going to put a lot of stuff on it. So.
Hi. I'm wondering if this. Okay, so I'm probably going to ask a noob question, but what is Brad doing right now? Is it like a base, or is he?
Right now, because he was a normal person just walking down the street when he spontaneously combusted into a demon. So I'm starting with the latex to give a burn on the side of the face, and then this side's going to be the demon. So just fire and
It's
then
up to you,
demon.
whatever you think is best.
Fire, then demon.
So I'm going to just do a light foundation on Tara, a little bit paler than her own skin. I want to do some detail work over the top so it will show up a little bit better. Plus,
the
she's
same
been fairly
if you put
traumatized.
here.
So we're going to give her a little bit of a lighter skin. And if anybody else, like Brad, you want to talk about what you're doing as you're going along, and Val and Caesar, if you could just like let the audience know every time you do something different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We have a question in the front here. Listen.
So a lot of times when I see these, it's always somebody doing the makeup to somebody else. Do you have any tips if you want to do this to yourself? Are there anything that anybody's doing that you would say, don't do this to yourself? It's too hard or anything like that?
Good question.
Yeah,
Good
that was a
question.
good question.
It's all about practice, doing it to yourself and however you feel. It is harder to like reach behind you and do anything, grab a mirror, learn some acrobatics to learn stuff like that. But anything you can do on someone else, you can do on yourself. But doing makeup on yourself and doing makeup on someone else are two totally different things. Like, you can be amazing at make yourself look drop dead gorgeous or absolutely scary, but on someone else it would just look like a mess because everyone has different like face shapes and stuff. So that's one big thing. Personally, I think it's easier to do makeup on yourself because you can physically move your face the way you want it. You don't have to talk out loud and try to describe what's going on to the other person. But yeah, you can pretty much, I feel like you can pretty much do anything to yourself.
The only thing I wouldn't do is try to do a bald cap myself.
Yeah.
That would be really
That's really
hard.
difficult.
That involves the back of your head.
Right. But yeah, and that's a great way to practice on yourself.
And if you learn techniques on yourself, you can apply them to other people. Like, I like to practice makeup on myself and then do it to someone else, and then rearrange whatever I need to for their face shape and skin tone and skin texture as well.
Tap it.
Right now what I'm doing is I'm peeling at the latex to blister it up so it's all blistery and gross. Looks like his skin is peeling off.
Yeah.
Great. We have a question here from our friends across the globe. Here, this is on which.
This is going to be on YouTube. And Jasmine asks, what would be some ways to create realistic looking wigs and contraptions that can be hidden beneath the clothing for live wounds or scorching effects?
For wigs?
Wigs.
Say that one more time.
Yeah.
Please.
It was like a lot in
It
one.
was a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more time.
All right, looks like Jasmine asks on our YouTube side, what would be some ways to create realistic looking wigs along with contraptions that can be hidden beneath the clothing for live wounds or squirting effects?
Okay.
This is like a book.
Yeah.
I feel
One of the
like.
questions, yeah.
The things that go in clothes and stuff, those are called squibs. And I have not really, don't have a lot of, hadn't had a lot of practice with them, but it's Val.
It's a very, it can be very creative in a sense. Like every situation, you kind of have to like come
Figure
up
it
with
out.
like an idea sort of thing, because it, like if you're doing it for like, I don't know, like walking in the street, that's one thing. But if you're doing it like for a film, every situation, like depending the angle from which they're shooting, how much are they seeing of that body, then you have to come up with different things. But you can use compressors to like, you can use like little pumps that you can hide and like pump and have like the can I say another place that has like by the way discounts and that could help with this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
If you're if our friend is in Orlando or what is it, Orchard Hardware is like having discounts too. So that's a great place to get tubing, and it was super cheap. My roommate just saved like, instead of spending $180, she spent $15 15, 1.5. So great place. So you would need like some tubing. You would need, sometimes you have to make the blood like more liquid so it can go through the tubing, depending how like thin and how thick like the tubing itself is. And then you'll need like, you may need some like gauges like for the pump to like adapters, let's say, so you can like pump the blood out if you're doing it yourself. If somebody else is doing it with a compressor because you're doing like a Quentin Tarantino kind of like effects, very like dramatic, then there will be someone far, far away with a compressor that will like pump that blood out or whatever other liquid you may have. So that's one thing like for the squibs. There is, as you heard us in the past years, we love the Stan Winston's DVDs. So there's like a lot of DVDs that you can check from them, like not a lot from them, like a couple at least from them that will tell you like more about squibs. But even on YouTube, like everything that I found helped me in some way or another to get to where I needed it. You may have to like come up with ideas too, though, depending on the situation. And for wigs, like wigs, sometimes they can be shiny. So like to de-shine them, you can use like baby powder, for instance, and that would make it a little bit more realistic, right? No? Kim, you never used it?
No.
Yeah, I did. I was on shoots before where they use like either baby powder or colored powder just to like make them less shiny. If they're like nylon, and then I mean a little shiny is good, but like not crazy shiny.
The most realistic wigs are the lace front wigs.
Yeah.
That are human hair that are on lace front. And those you can make look very realistic. But it's because they have the lace front and the hair it is sewn to the lace or tied to the lace, and it looks like real hair growing out of your skin. But those, it's kind of hard to make a hard front wig, a cheap hard front wig look really good.
Yeah, like what you can do is like take some of your hair out and kind of like, right?
Yeah.
She's laughing at me, but that's what we do. Yeah. If you put like your wig cap, like if you put it up a little bit and then you get your hair out, that could be, you know, more natural looking. And then you would have to color and match that to the wig, obviously.
So to follow up on that too, I notice, you know, especially, I think sometimes you have it a little bit easier in film than in live theater, right? When you have something going on, but a lot of the audio microphone placement, right? For a lot, you see the Phantom of the Opera makeup, and they embed it in the corner of their wig, right under there. How? I would imagine that'd be kind of difficult to put in the wiring to make sure that it's laying flat. Plus, I know that you're farther in the audience to see that, but I would imagine that's pretty. That takes a very skilled craftsperson to put that.
Every situation
together.
is different. That's why I was like, you can get inspiration and like research a little bit, but then you may need to come up with your ideas too, depending on what you have.
Yeah.
Like.
Gotcha.
So it's I know there's no like one answer.
No, there's not.
You know, we keep talking a little bit about blood, and it's a pretty popular item, right? During Halloween, we kind of all have that. But when you have like a shirt like this gentleman's shirt on here, and people spill blood on it, and it's a longer scene, or you're walking around in a live, it sometimes doesn't look right. Or it looks like it almost
I know where
has a different color to it. How can we make it
here.
you know, what do you recommend that we do to make it look
I got cheddar.
more realistic?
Yes, so that looks delicious.
Thanks.
The blood. So blood, depending on where you put it, and depending on what blood you get, is going to look different. So sometimes the blood will turn out looking too pink on a white shirt or on cement or wherever it's going. There's a trick that you can do, which is to add a little bit of green dish detergent like Dawn to your blood. That will darken it up a little bit, and then also that will help to help for the blood to come out, because blood will almost always stain. So if you're doing a scene with some blood, you either need to do it on the first take, or you should have some backup clothes and things like that, so you can reset the scene quickly without having to like do laundry and stuff. but there's many different recipes for blood, and depending on where you put it, it's going to look different. So the other people that deal with blood
Just weird.
would be the art department. So depending on where the blood goes, so maybe a traumatized wound on somebody who's laying on the cement, a sidewalk, I would do all the blood on the person. Art department would do the rest of the blood that goes on the sidewalk, etc. So we get to share.
So you may notice that Amanda is like not convinced. It's because the gelatin has a weird texture, right? Yeah. And it's warm, but she said it's pleasantly warm. You definitely want to make sure, though, that your gelatin is not too hot, and that you can do by like filling the cup first. If it feels like crazy hot, you definitely don't want to try it on your skin. If it feels warm, then you can try it on the skin. It will be warm because it has to be melted, like for the application. And we put it in the microwave for like 10 seconds approximately.
Yes, not very long at all.
Yeah, more than that actually can burn the talent or actor. So you need to be careful with how much time do you put in your gelatin.
So with Tara here, I just did a little bit of stippling on her face just to give it a little bit of texture, a little bit of color. And now what I'm going to do is put red all the way around her eyes.
The entire face.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a question over here.
Yes, please.
Hi, I have a question for the zombie, but for the person doing the zombie. Do you, I don't know, the color, I see green and yellow. Is there something like that is like uniform for any zombie, or do you go by the person's skin color?
Well, so for example, in my case, I like to actually study like anatomy and and how the skin and the color of the like dead people look like. So I investigate a little bit. So this is like my base. This is not like the real color. This is like what is under, you know? So for example, I want to put like some greens, yellows, like a little bit of brown, because that would be like what is going to be under the skin. But this is just the base as I talk to her. This is like my guide. But yeah.
There really isn't like a textbook zombie, but you know, depending on what zombie you want, do you want the George Romero zombie? Do you want Walking Dead zombie? So it just depends on what you're going for.
And also another thing is typically it's not just one solid color. So there's gonna be, you can decide what you want, like more, like if you want it to be more like green or more gray or more blue or more yellow or whatever. But you're gonna use multiple colors because you don't want like one block. So you can flick some paint, you can use like a sponge to like texturize and put like some other colors underneath. Or on top, not underneath.
I have a question.
Yes?
I've heard that in some black and white movies, they've actually used Hershey's chocolate syrup for blood.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Have you ever done that before? Have you?
No, because we have real blood.
Yeah.
As much, and it
Okay,
looks
I'm
and it's
scared.
red. No, but yeah, in the old days, they did a lot of things that were like, even the makeup itself was not like exactly flesh colored. It was off, but it read right on the camera. Yeah.
At times, like it depends, like what we kind of like reconnecting to the question that we had before, like for the different types of bloods. It depends like what your background is. If it's like white, you don't want something that looks too pink, so then you can mix something. Like you can do it with colors. You don't have to do it with the chocolate syrup. You can. Imagine if you had to like spit that blood. How amazing if it tastes like chocolate.
True. Yeah.
But basically, most of for example, in my case, I like to give the chocolate syrup to the actors if they need to put it in their mouth, because like actually fake blood tastes really, really bad.
And in fact, sometimes you go to the cake shop and we get flavoring for like blood. If I know that they have to like spit it or something or keep it in their mouth, I bought before the bubblegum flavor. So, yeah, guilty. Right?
I have a question for the person making like the missing eye thing.
Yeah.
Funny.
How are you supposed to make it look like it's missing? Like, how does it look disappeared?
How it's gonna disappear? is with this bandage roll. Okay? So this is going to go across her eyes, and then, and it's very sheer, so you can see through it. And then I'm just going to add blood and gunk and junk. It's going to look disgusting. But she's actually going to have, the bandage over her eyes. I'm not going to actually pull her eyes out.
Oh, okay, good.
Which would look more realistic.
Ew.
Also, like, you can create things with like colors. So if you put a lighter color, things will look like they're more like prominent and standing out and like bulky and yeah. If instead you use something that is like darker, it looks like it's more indented and smaller sometimes too. It depends like what you're doing, but yeah, smaller can look smaller too.
All right,
There's a reason why we like to wear black. Just kidding.
We have a
We don't
question
have a
from our
choice.
friends on YouTube.
Awesome.
Jasmine asks, what are some of your favorite budget-friendly brands for effects equipment and color contacts?
Color contacts, Kim, your favorite.
Well, you know, the thing is, like, I don't have a favorite. I would go to a reputable place if I was going to buy contacts, and expect to pay a little bit of money for them. I think somebody told me they got contacts made for them, and I think they were only $40, but they were like to his eye. I thought that was reasonable. So they've gone down a lot because they're more popular. But I would go to a reputable place as opposed to like a fly-by-night. I just popped up online yesterday. Check out my eyeball. I would go, you know, that's what I would recommend. Not anything particular, but a reputable place, not just some online place that you never heard of before.
Yeah, I would definitely do some research if you intend to put something in your eyes.
For the zombie maker, what are you putting on the cotton to make it stick?
Oh, this is actually gelatin. This is what Val and me are using right now. This is half glycerin and half. I mean, Val, can you?
Yes. Sorry, we were talking about the context. Yeah, so there's like a part of water, part of glycerin, and part of gelatin powder. So, and I am adding some color because I wanted to have like some color already before I start to color it. You can keep it clear though too. So the powder we get, this is an old oven, so it's more than 10 seconds, but typically it's like 10 seconds. So yeah, we got the powder from Walmart, really. Like, I don't know, can I make names? Like,
yeah, we already have. Yep.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I'm making a lot of names. I don't know if I can. Yeah, so we usually get the Knox powder from Walmart and the unflavored one, no color, no nothing. You will find it where you find the Jellos. That powder, just like typically the Jellos are here so you can see them, and the clear powder is like somewhere here or somewhere here where you can't see it, but it is there. And the glycerin is usually in the pharmacy section, so you can ask for it there. And yeah, we pretty much use those ingredients, and then if you want to add some color, I'm using water-based colors, just because they're the safest ones for like the skin.
What is the gelatin primarily used for?
You can use it for a number of things. You can even make prosthetic pieces with it. A couple of years ago, we did what was it, like a sea creature, and we had prosthetics made with gelatin. It's kind of nice because you can use witch hazel to dissolve the edges, so to make them like blend better to the skin. But you can use it like for a zombie, so like for like ripping the skin. You can use it for like something like this. You can use it for someone that is allergic to latex. You can use it for like a burn effect.
You can actually make a mask on somebody's face.
Yeah.
You could build up a whole mask on
yeah.
somebody's face. You can't reuse it. That's the only thing. But you can do some really amazing things temporarily.
Yeah,
And
that's-
it is. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry.
It is like a food product, so it goes bad. If you have to keep it in the fridge, if you intend to use it like in 10 days, 20 days. There are other things that you can put in the mixture. You could use sorbitol to preserve it for longer. But if you want to go like simple, you don't need to buy all those like extra sophisticated things that then cost more.
So I was saying that this is why I love gelatin, because I like to sculpt on the actor, so that, and gelatin actually gives you this flexibility to do pretty much whatever your imagination is capable to.
Yeah, and it's like pretty shiny, as you can tell. So if you want it like less shiny, you either have to powder it nicely afterwards, or you can use some zinc oxide. Again, like one of those things that you can add to the mixture to make adjustments, and the zinc oxide will make it a little bit more matte, matte and opaque.
So yeah, actually I was going there. So after I put this, I'm gonna wait till it dries. But I don't like that shine because it looks fake. I don't like when my zombies look like you're like, oh yeah, he just did it in 5 minutes. And I'm like, no, I spent
My
4
zombies
hours.
need to look a certain way.
So pretty much, I wait till it dries, and then I just powder it down. So we kill that shine.
So right now I'm actually taking the thick blood, the gel blood, and I'm just gonna do like this area around Tara's eyes, and I'm hoping that when I put the gauze bandage around it, it will be enough to sort of keep it and hold it in place, so I don't have to glue it. Fingers crossed.
We have a question from our Facebook Live friends.
Awesome.
All right, so this question comes from Arturia. What paints do you guys recommend?
4?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, what
for
paints?
prosthetics, for like for instance, now with the gelatin, I'm mixing water-based paint. This is by Mehron, Mehron. But you can buy like the paint even at the supermarket. I mean, if it's water-based and like safe to use on the skin, then there is no problem with that. And that would be probably the cheapest. But you can use creams, you can use alcohol-based paint. Like alcohol would be the most long-lasting one.
But not the cheapest. So
But
it
not
just
the
depends
cheapest.
on what kind of can that Facebook person be more specific? So we can, because that's a kind of a broad.
Yeah, like a silicone prosthetic could be painted with like alcohol, silicone-based color, like everything really, like so.
And brands are very personal. Like some people love something and some people will not love something. So it's kind of a personal thing. The more money you pay for something, usually the better it is, but not always. Go ahead.
One huge thing about makeup is that there's not really necessarily a wrong way to do it. Like something can look bad, but a lot of it has to do with personal taste because it's an art. It's not like a science, it's an art. A lot of it's opinion based.
It's not a science.
So Bradley,
No.
what are you doing
There
there?
are wrong ways to do
I'm
it.
joking. Airbrushing, getting some, like covering the whole side red. And then after I do that, I'm going to go in and go do some contouring with the airbrush and some darker colors to shallow out his cheek on this side. I just got done with the horn and some nose and scar wax around it for some ridge and bumps and everything that I'm going to go in with the knife later, with the palette knife, to fix that up. Yeah.
What paint product is that?
This is
Have you heard
Vibe
her?
airbrush paint. It's a
I'm being
water-based.
frosted like a cupcake.
It's a water-based airbrush paint. I usually stick to the alcohol-based because it dries faster and lasts longer. But the water-based comes off with water. The alcohol-based comes off with alcohol.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that's great information. Good. Yeah.
So I'm just basically trying to make these dark, her eyes dark for underneath the gauze, and we're just going to add a lot of more blood and scab blood to the top of that. So I'm just darkening these up. That's all I'm doing.
By the way, the gelatin is rather inexpensive. So that's also one of the reasons. Like super cheap for the powder, and then the glycerin is probably like $10 or something like that. So it's fairly inexpensive. That's why we wanted to do also something that you can buy at the supermarket, that it's not too expensive, so you can have fun. And even if it doesn't turn out the way you want it, you can like start it over, throw some more in there. Like
Yeah, gelatin is a really inexpensive and easy way to make a really big effect. Like you can make somebody just pour some gelatin on their face and they will look messed up, and all you got to do is put a costume on and that's it. So yeah, so gelatin is a really effective way to do some really amazing things. You can put things underneath the gelatin to build the face up or to make the face a certain shape, all that kind of stuff. So gelatin is really fun. It doesn't smell good, but it's very...
yeah, it smells like
wet dog.
It's
Yeah.
it's not vegan friendly, unfortunately,
I have a question.
or vegetarian friendly.
I'm thinking about special effects as a person, for example, the half human, half demon here. There's got to be something in between. I mean, as you go, I guess maybe the shots that you take. I don't know. How do you do that? I mean, how do you grow the demon out of him? If there were a camera on him and suddenly you see it happening. I know it's part of the special effects, etc. But what are the in-between steps, things that y'all do?
Like
CGI.
in camera to get to this.
Mm-hmm.
Light his face on fire. Cut. Put the makeup on. And yeah. You could do CGI or you could cover up with like some CGI flames because he's bursting into flames, so do that and then you just have him appear with that.
Cool.
Amazing. Like pumpkin crown landed on your head.
All right, so we have another question from one of our Facebook Live viewers. Marissa asks, if money is no object, what are some of your favorite, more expensive, like industry standard stuff that you guys would use?
For paint? For
What are
colors?
your top of the line products for paint? Anything? Products that you
my
would prefer?
favorite, it's Skin Illustrator, the palettes. This is what pretty much I use in everything. I love Skin Illustrator. It's like you need to use it with 90% alcohol. If not, it's not gonna get activated. But they have pretty cool colors on it.
Can I have one of those?
There's a lot of good
This thing is
brands
straight.
out there. If you were to go to like a professional makeup supply store, you could see what brands that they have there that are available. Also, we do a lot of our shopping at Sephora and Ulta. And so, the market is always changing. So what my favorite is today might not be my favorite tomorrow or of yesterday. So it's all constantly changing market. There's constantly new products on the market. There are great companies that are standard go-tos like MAC, Estee Lauder. Just Anastasia, that's kind of new, but that's a really awesome brand. Everybody is into that. So, and it depends too. Like, if you want to have the latest stuff, then you're going to have to find out right then and there what is the latest stuff. What is the hottest stuff right then and there.
And then sometimes it depends. Like, for instance, Skin Illustrator, like there's Skin Illustrator, EBA, European Body Art. There's like Bluebird. Some could be like more opaque and more full coverage. So maybe if you need to like give a lot of pigment, those would be great. And some instead they're more kind of like see-through. That's something that you can also control with the amount of alcohol that you're diluting the color, but also the pigment to start with. So it's not that one brand sometimes is better than the other, but depending on the situation, like especially the pro brands, depending on the situation, you may prefer one rather than the other.
Yeah, and different people will have different ideas about what's good and what's not. There's not like everybody all agrees on one product that is the best. Or, and if somebody says to you, this is the best, this is the only thing to use, then run away, run far away.
But if I can pick, like if I want something long lasting, then I would go with alcohol-based paint.
Mm-hmm.
If I want something that is easy to wash because I'm just practicing in the lab, then I would use like water-based. If it's someone that is like has a performance, I don't know, like a sport kind of like performance or like performing in one of the theme parks, I would prefer alcohol-based paint. If I'm painting like a prosthetic, a silicone prosthetic, I could use like some silicone-based paint that will like bond to the silicone prosthetic piece, so that is never gonna come off really, like it's gonna stay there. And you can also use, like you can dilute that with there's different things that you can add to dilute that and make it more see-through, or you can have it more like thick and opaque. You can also paint your prosthetic piece with alcohol paint, and that will also be long lasting. But there's like so many, and depending on the situation, like it's kind of like a vast like topic. But this gave I think like a good idea.
You can always email me.
Sure.
Alrighty, and from YouTube, we have Michaela asked, how do you artists prevent the makeup around the mouth and eyes from crinkling or breaking in terms of blood or fake skin? So mainly, how do you keep the makeup on the lips or the eyes or places where they'll crease from crackling or breaking, which you guys kind of just talked about with making it thicker as well?
If it is cream, it's going to crease unless you set it with some powder.
And which it still can crease eventually.
If it is alcohol paint, it's kind of going to stay in place the longest amount of time. If it is for the eyes, you can use like primers. Like sometimes for like characters that I know that they have to last for like hours and they're performing, I'll use either like those liquid lipsticks on the lips, or I use alcohol paint. It's not great for the skin because it feels a little drying. It is a little drying, but it's the most long lasting. Or you can use like some cream and like powder on top, so it kind of sets, but it's still less long lasting than
and wherever we're working, we always have to monitor the situation, so to look at them and do touch-ups, or eventually after a little while people are going to eat, they're going to talk, they're going to do all kinds of stuff, and so it's just kind of a matter of,
they're human,
because they are human after all. So we just kind of have to keep
it's a good song, Kim.
Our eyes on them. Listen, talent is, they do crazy things when you're not looking. They'll go make out in a corner with somebody. I mean, they're going to mess up their makeup and their hair. That's what they do. So we have to watch them.
Yeah,
I mean, they're being human.
That's like the subject, too, of the hands, right? You guys kind of just covered that, too. When you have to do makeup on the hands,
Oh yeah,
I would
hands
imagine
is like a tricky one
that's
too.
That's a high maintenance.
Because like hands here, that's one thing, but hands here, it's like, because people obviously need to touch things too, then that rubs off. First thing. One thing that we do, if I use alcohol paint, then I still powder on top, and that usually helps it a little bit, like keep it in place. So if people perspirate or whatever the situation is, at least there's that powder that protects a little bit.
We're talking a lot. We hit. And Caesar mentioned it too, about powdering, about dulling, about getting rid of the shine and the sheen on different areas. How do you go about powdering something? What do you like the brushes? Do you like to put it in some type of bandana type thing?
Well, if I need to do some serious powdering, I will put it on my puff first, and then powder it. Gotcha. If I just want to do a light powder, just to lightly set something, then I would use a brush. So just depending. So I would fully load my puff with some powder, and then I would pat that right in, and that's going to keep that makeup in place. That's going to set it and help it to last all day. But if I was doing something more like an up-close photo, then maybe I wouldn't use any powder, and I would just be there and to monitor, because makeup can move around if it's not set. So I would just be there to monitor it, make sure that it stayed fresh looking.
Also, if you guys, we're talking about also like saving money a little bit and everything. I like to use baby powder to set everything, because like some of the powders that you're gonna find in stores and everything, they're expensive, but I always use baby powder.
What is this? The Benai Fair Translucent. These come in a line of different translucent colors. These are also fairly inexpensive and are pretty good. Yeah. But if you want to go for the money, get the Danessa Merrick's new powder. It's really beautiful. And what you can tell the difference of powders by feeling them. Mm-hmm. So a really fine micronized powder will feel like nothing. It'll feel like velvet. It feels like air. And when you touch another one that's not as micronized, you're gonna feel it more. So you can actually feel the difference when you feel a powder that's like air. That's what you want to use. Something that'll like just completely disappear, like butter. Yeah.
Butter.
Danessa Merrick's. All right, so I'm just going to do a little bit to distress Tara's hair here because I don't want her to look so beautiful. So I'm going to.
It's really hard.
It's really hard to do. So I'm going to put a little like dark colors in her hair just to make her look like she's been schlepping around somewhere for a while. Would you prefer the middle part?
That would look uglier.
Yeah. Here, got you. So, and don't forget that hair is part of the look of a character. So if you're doing something, you gotta address what are you gonna do with the head, because the head, you know, the hair, the head, the hat, whatever it is, it kind of needs to go with the makeup. It will make your makeup look so much better if you got the hair to go with it.
By the way, I used a Wuchi to cover her hair. Because, yes, the gelatin, it is safe to use on hair. Like, you don't want to put latex or other glues really, like, on the hair, but gelatin you can. And then I suggest you, like, taking a shower to remove it, so, like, the water will start to break down the product. But I thought, why torturing her when I could use a Wuchi, which is, like a bald cap, but not like the most...
A cheap one.
Val, what are you saying? A woodgie?
Woodgie.
A what?
WOOCHIE is actually a brand.
WOOCHIE. A woodgie.
A woodgie, yeah. They sell like
How many
cheap
people know what a
prosthetics.
woodgie is? No. See, we're learning things.
No woodgies? Anyone?
Woodgie. Okay.
Yeah, they sell the cheap,
But can you do it with an accent?
The spirit of
How can I do
Halloween.
No. And where can I pick that up, Kim? A witchy?
Like even like the spirit of Halloween.
Spirit of Halloween, Party City.
Any of the
that's where you'll
Halloween
find-
stores?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where you'll find the woodgies.
Yeah, we're trying to use like all these things like are things that you can get locally. So for instance, like these cups, I brought these here. It's from the cake store, and it's like cups that can go in the microwave that won't like melt or do anything like that. What is the brand? I don't know.
That's great.
I purposely brought
Does
them
anybody
here.
have an idea for Halloween that they want to ask us some questions about how to do?
Konix.
Anybody have a question about your Halloween costume this year?
Dart is the brand.
That our friends can help you with, that you might be a little bit stuck on, or wonder how you best might achieve that effect?
Think about it.
Yeah, think about that. We'll wait till that rolls in. But you kind of were talking about hair and witchies and different things. I always like to get your opinions on hair coloring, because that seems to be a popular thing. You know, you have the wig option, then you have the actual dyeing of something, then you have the cheap sprays, and then you can get different looks and feel, you know. Obviously different price points and better looks. What do you guys prefer if you're just going for the night on Halloween?
If you're just going for the night for Halloween, go ahead and get the whole thing at Spirit of Halloween.
Okay.
The Spirit of Halloween wigs are pre-styled, so that means you can't really do too much else with them except for what they are as you buy them. So if it's a Bride of Frankenstein wig, that's all it's ever going to really be, unless you dye it blue and turn Marge Simpson or something. But they can't really be undone and worked with. So if you want a wig that you can reuse later, then go to a wig shop. There's plenty of them around here in Orlando. Lots of beauty supply stores, and they all carry reasonably priced wigs. A trick to make a hard front wig look more natural is to either use something with some bangs in it, because it's their hard front that makes it look like a wig. So either have something that has some hair coming down over the front, or like what Val said earlier, put the wig behind your hairline and pull out your own hair in the front, and that will make it look like it's your own hair. So those are some good tricks, and those are usually reasonably priced wigs.
You can spray your hair to match the
Yeah, you can also, if you need to change your hair color to match your wig, you can just spray it. There's lots of temporary hair colors. This will wash right out, so it's just get in the shower and wash out.
But with these, well, you need to style first and then use it.
I need the. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to use the sprays like over somebody's hair. I don't, sorry. I wouldn't spray it and then style it. I would style it and then spray it. Yeah, like kind of like it is like hairspray. How you doing, Brad?
Doing great. Just throwing some charcoal powder on the burn, make it look
Awesome.
even more burnt.
Let's talk about charcoal powder. Charcoal powder is an amazing product. Can people see what Brad is doing? Brad, step aside.
Yeah, sorry.
Show them what you're doing. Just by adding that charcoal powder, that changes the makeup tremendously. It adds all sorts of interesting stuff to it. Do I have black? Yeah.
Hey, Brad. So I have to ask you, how do you keep the horn on? What are you using to stick it? Because I'm worried about like sweating would cause it to just fall off.
I use Prozaid, which is my favorite adhesive.
Me too.
It
strong
sticks, and you have to have the removal for it, which we have the detachable. Because if you don't, it's going to take that layer of skin off with it.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not gonna take it off, but it's gonna be a pain in the butt to remove because it is a medical grade adhesive, so it's strong. It was born originally like for like limbs.
Hold on, prosthetic limbs. Yeah.
Get that spray bottle.
I haven't
Water?
heard any terms like two words I've not heard yet is super glue.
Well, that's how I like to put on my eyelashes.
Refrain from the super glue.
No super glue. We have all different kinds of adhesives, starting with like spirit gum, which is a very soft hold adhesive, and it takes a minute to dry. The Prozaid dries quickly. It's a contact adhesive, so as soon as it touches, it's stuck and will stay until you remove it. What else? You got something to say? Go, girl.
Don't use super glue. That's gonna burn you. Don't. No. And also, I've seen tutorials use hot glue.
You scared her.
Don't use that either. Like, who are you?
Yeah,
But yeah.
don't put-
And if you buy it, make sure you buy the remover, because the tutorials like on Facebook and like the quick ones, they don't always tell you to buy the remover, and it hurts. And it can and if you're allergic to it, then you can't get it off. So make sure you're buying the remover.
Yep.
You're checking the products to make sure you're not allergic to it.
Yeah.
All that good stuff. Yeah, don't use super glue on your face.
It smells like
Scared her.
I know, but some people don't know you're joking. And I have actually seen one of those life hacks, quick Instagram things, use hot glue to glue a needle, like a broken in half needle onto themselves, so it looks like a needle's going through their fingernail. And I was like, why is this on here? There's gonna be little kids who are like, oh, this is okay, and it's not. You're going to I have a actual blister from hot glue because I was hot gluing something. There are things specifically made all the way from eyelash glue to Prozaid that will glue things onto you.
Yeah, I want to
And
say.
don't scare Tara.
You should always use common sense also, guys. If you think it's a bad idea, then don't do it.
Also think before putting something on your face. If you have any doubt, research it.
Yeah.
Use the common sense, research it, and then try it somewhere else before putting it on your face, because your face is kind of important.
Okay, so this is the best. So now I'm just gonna add this blood before I put the bandage on, because I want it to look like she's been bleeding here for a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Now remember, before you can look down. Whenever you put blood on, remember that you want to put it on going in the direction of gravity. And I say that for effect if somebody's laying down. Make sure you put the runny blood on afterwards, so it's not running horizontally. That would look weird.
Unless you're in space, Kim.
Unless you're in space.
On there. I noticed the protection too that everyone's using too, and the care around the eyes. too, with makeup and different types of applications.
Yes, very. I always assume that people have sensitive eyes and are wearing contacts. I just assume it immediately. That way I'm on the safe side. But it's funny because I will be doing somebody's makeup and they'll be like, I have contacts. And I'll be like, okay, but like, what am I going to do different? That I know you have contacts. Okay, now I won't poke you in the eye. But anyway, I just always am careful around people's eyes. Because some people can handle a lot and then some people can't.
One tip that I've learned is when you're one tip I've learned is when you're working with someone's eyes, have them look the opposite way of the brush. That helps a lot.
Yes, that's my tip.
See, you learn a lot. You learn a lot when you listen to your teachers.
Awesome.
And then you just think you learned. No, I knew I learned that from somewhere. But yeah, like I've worked on guys who I had to put like things in their waterline and like fake lashes on them several times, and like underneath, I had to make them look like dolls. And they are guys who had never been anywhere near makeup, and they were very twitchy and stuff. And I was like, look as far away, because if you look far enough away, you can't even see the brush.
Right.
You'll just feel it, but your brain will be like, oh, it's just
Let's
whatever.
do an example. Look over there. Can you see that? Can you see this?
Nope.
See?
Can't even.
Sneak attack.
Sneak attack. If you've noticed, I'll like sense where her brush is, and I'll just look the opposite way, and all that good stuff.
But yeah, and if you have somebody in your chair that's all twitching with the eyes, it's fine. Just take your time and let them blink away, and all that. All right, I think I'm gonna put my mask on now, and we'll finish this. Just leave her the mic, Dave.
You could put one here if you need it.
Temporarily closed.
Thanks.
It's right there for you. And over there. We talked a little bit. Yes, good night.
Just kind of like place there.
There goes the eyes on there. We talked a little bit about some of the different, prosthetics that in the past too that we've had and put together. I think this is probably a good time too, just to talk about the safety of that. I think a lot of people attempt to try to do molds, right? And they do castings of different things, and how to do that properly. I know we usually like to leave that up to the experts because that can be a little bit difficult. But you have some of the pre-things already made there, but when you're actually doing a casting on someone, does anyone want to kind of talk a little bit to that? Bradley, if you want. Yeah.
I've actually done a few life castings. I've heard some horror stories about it where like some people have put the ultracal or the concrete right on the talent's face. You don't do that.
Also, not on beard. Like, remember when you have facial hair, you may have to do things, either cut the hair or like do things a different way, because some of those things stick to the beard.
Yeah, you'd have to like put something
hair
on the beard so it doesn't get stuck into the alginate or the silicone, which are two ways. Alginate, you have a very limited time to work with it. You have like 8 minutes, and it won't cure to itself. So once it's already cured, you can't put more on it because it won't attach to itself. Silicone, you have like 15 minutes depending on the type you get, and you can put on a layer, let that set, put on another layer, just put it over their face, and then you take some bandages, like the old plaster bandages, wrap that around. If you're doing like a full face, you would put a key down the sides and with the silicone, and then you meet with the two bandages. You meet the bandages in the middle there, so you have two halves, a front and a back. And you just peel them out of that, and then you cut up the front with the silicone and peel that whole thing off, and then you have a mold for a face. And then
obviously keeping some airways to breathe, right?
Oh,
in the
yeah.
front.
Some
Like you
people would use straws in the nose.
Gotcha,
I don't like to
okay.
do that because the straws will actually deform the nose. So if I'm going to be applying any prosthetics to the nose, I'd have to do it with the straws in, because otherwise it won't fit the same. And I'm not going to put straws in his nose for an entire scene. So if you're just really careful with it, you just get the silicone or the alginate around the nose. You can very easily do it without the straws. And whenever you're putting the bandages on, you just make sure you keep that area clear, and
Keep
they can
it
still
open.
breathe just fine. through the nose.
Gotcha. Sounds difficult.
It takes a little bit of practice.
Yeah.
Did you mention, sorry, because I was also doing other things and I got distracted. Did you mention Reynolds Advanced Materials?
No,
Oh,
we haven't
yeah.
yet.
Reynolds Advanced Materials, great place. That's where I got all of my. They sell the Ultracal, the Alginate, the silicone.
That's our
They have
go-to
brands
place.
like Smooth On for the silicone.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
Which
where
is
we-
like
Where's that
professional.
located?
It's in Orlando.
It's called, what's
There's
it called?
like
It's out there.
Castleberry?
Yeah.
No.
And for our friends on
Wait.
Facebook and YouTube, online across the
No, it's
world
not
too,
Castleberry, though. It's more
big
south.
website there too, and you can order from them too, I believe.
Yes, Elcone?
Right?
Are
Yeah.
you talking about Elcone?
Reynolds or
Reynolds. Oh, yeah, Reynolds. Yeah, they're
Reynolds,
huge. They're huge.
And-
Actually, the guy that won, he didn't win Face Off, but he was on like 3 years ago. He used to work
Yeah.
at Reynolds and used to come here, Dave, and do demonstrations for our students. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Great place, and
Yeah.
is available here or wherever you lived. Reynolds. The show Face Off, right? One of how many people are familiar with that TV show Face Off? Yeah. One of my favorite. I think it's just a great, wonderful show that you have. It's a makeup competition. We had a few people from Orlando in on that, and
Oh,
a good
yeah.
friend
There's a
of
lot
ours.
of people from
Yeah.
Orlando, actually.
And a good
Orlando
friend of
rules
ours.
Face Off.
They do. Orlando does love Face Off.
Territorial here.
And one of our good friends and friends of Full Sail University, one of the judges on there, Tom Savini, was on there a few times. And Tom's been here to the university a few times to talk with our students and stuff. And maybe we'll be here in the near future. As Kim gives me the
I
eye
hope so.
and the look to make that happen.
He's been here before.
Said it, now it has to happen.
Oh.
Oh.
All right.
But speaking of Face Off, and we were talking earlier about brands of makeup that are really good or that we like. I've been using a lot of like Mackenzie, like the host. She has like that line called Westmore Beauty, and that line is really good.
Well,
I
her
really
father
like.
is Michael
Yeah.
Westmore.
Yeah, it's a family of makeup artists, pretty much.
That's
Can
from
we say-
Star Trek.
It's
Yeah.
like a legacy that he had.
That
Yeah.
legacy, I like that word.
Yeah, I'd say that. I would say.
So guys, now I was doing a little bit of how you pronounce it, Val? I always had a hard time to say
Flicking.
the flicking.
Flicking.
So the flicking technique.
I love that he asks the other foreigner who
sorry.
has to speak English as a first language.
So I like to do that to create the pores, you know, like the little pores, and I like to mix a little bit of yellows, blues, because under our skin we have a lot of yellow, blues, reds.
Oh, what color is our skin made of?
That's pretty much
It's made of primary colors.
the primary colors.
Yellow,
yeah,
blue, and
like
red.
Yellow.
I think you nailed it, Caesar.
yeah.
Yeah. That's why he's here, guys.
So yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
is
we
that.
saw a great demonstration at the Mac store one day where the makeup artist took some red and some blue and some yellow and rubbed them in, added a little white, and had his perfect flesh tone. I was amazed. I really was amazed by that. I don't know you could do that.
She is not loving the gelatin. Let me tell you.
But yeah, when we went to that class, actually, I was amazed because like the guy made like all the different skin tones with 3 colors,
was
and I was
crazy.
like, what? That was like magic for me.
Yeah, so because of that, like sometimes you hear people saying, "Oh, I'm more like yellow tone," or "I'm more like pink tone." What it means is that like you use all those primary colors, but one is more like predominant than another. So you would add more of that color in your mixture. Like for instance, if I have a foundation and someone is like really pink and I want to match their skin tone, but my foundation is kind of like neutral, then I would add some red, but like the tiniest amount.
So we touched on it a little bit too on media. It kind of really seems now man, the detail in makeup because of really using HD formats and 4K. It doesn't seem like you have the forgiveness we used to have when using film. Is that, you agree with that?
Something that I'm learning myself is that learn to take your time and make it look really good in the way you want it to. Like, I'm always like, oh, it's gonna take so long to do this, but like, I'll rush it and it'll look bad and I'll be disappointed in it. So just don't be afraid to take your time. Even when you're on set, like, obviously,
Marcello.
like, be fast, but when you're first...
Marcello.
Oh, sorry? Oh, I can't see what's going on. Like, when you're talking to your first AD or whoever is asking about scheduling, give them the time you need, not that... bleh. Make sure you're giving yourself enough time to make the makeup look the way you want it to look. And if they like, ooh, if you say it's gonna take an hour to do makeup and they're like, can you do it in 30? No, I can't. It's not gonna look as good.
To an extent.
To an extent.
Compromise,
You can compromise.
Yeah.
But
it has
compromise
to
to
look
like 45
Because
minutes.
the fastest you can do it, the more competitive
Of course,
you become
yes.
too.
That too.
Because
So-
you are, going to be wasting time if somebody
Imagine
can do it.
how many
waste
people
your
are in. But imagine how many people you have in a production. So you're paying for all those people.
And you don't want the production held up because of you. It's not always your fault, but.
Gotcha.
But
not a
that's why
good
you would do
feeling.
like trials, and you would figure out how long it's gonna take. If
Yeah.
there's ways to cut down time. If you need more people to like work at the same time on something. So there's a variety of things that you can do to cut down time. Sometimes it's better to have an extra person on the clock than taking forever and having 50 people waiting or more waiting for you. Can you tilt your
So I have a
head?
question here in the back, and then we have a question from one of our online friends.
I think I'm gonna be the last
Question: what if one of your talents has an itch?
If they have an itch, normally I will just tell them to, tap it. Yeah, that's the best way. Or, if I'm still like in the middle of working, I just tell them to scratch it because I can still fix it. Now, if it happens, after, then I tell them to tap it. Yeah, because they are going to get an itch. They will. Yeah. What else, you guys? Nobody has any questions about like what they want to do this year or anything like that?
We'll get to that. We have a question from Facebook Live.
Awesome.
All right. So one of our viewers, Marissa, had a question for all of you guys. What inspired you to become makeup artists, and are there any artists out there that you really look up to, and that you maybe try some of their techniques?
I try everybody's technique if it looks good. If it looks good. Right now I'm really in love with Danessa Merrick's. I think she's a really hard-working makeup artist. She's really made her own name. She has her own brand now, and she's just a really hard worker and a really sweet person. And I really like her, and her makeup is amazing. But what I decided, I just wanted to go in the entertainment field. That's what I knew. I wanted to go into entertainment. And how I ended up in makeup is kind of an accident, actually. I had a teacher who told me to do makeup for a living, so I said, okay. I didn't know what else to I know. Now I tell everybody else to go do it. Yeah.
But there's really nothing anymore there.
Like Tara. Guys, I'm all set with mine if anybody has any questions. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, ask him all the questions because I'm behind.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Nastasia C.C. Davis. Hi, Brad.
Hi.
I just wanted to know for mortuary makeup, like not working on the real dead, but like if you wanted to emulate that type of look for Halloween, what would you say would be your go-to products for that look, and what would you do to achieve that more realistic dead person, but without going zombie mode? You just want to look like they're lifeless.
Well, it's not it's not so much
Tara, I'm concerned.
the products, because you can get to some place a lot of different ways. So when I'm doing anything like that, I do I research. I look at pictures. I see what it looks like, and then I try to copy that.
And we talk to each other too, like to other makeup
sure.
artists.
If I knew somebody else had already done that, I'd be like, hey, how'd you do that? Yeah, we what I'm trying to say. We network, we talk to each other. I do a lot of research, my own research, so that's really the thing. And a lot of stuff you see on TV is not realistic.
You have both nostrils
It just
open.
looks better than what it would actually look like if it was real.
Okay.
Actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Thank you. You need the mic?
No, I was just showing you my hand.
Oh, your hand. I was done. Oh, thanks. Tara's going to finish up her hands for me.
Very nice. Bradley, so we're looking at yours here. On there we've got, that I understand, and Kim was talking about the charcoal powder a little bit, putting that and making that burn in that middle. That really, even up close, it looks very realistic.
Yeah, with the latex and peeling it off, it looks like skin flaking off, and really creates a really nice burn effect.
That charcoal powder, too, is really amazing at making something look burned like it has been burned. That charcoal powder is amazing.
Yeah. And
it can make you dirty. It can make you can do a lot of things with it.
And you can get that anywhere, or you have to go to Reynolds or
charcoal store.
Charcoal store.
No,
charcoal powder store.
Any makeup.
Charcoal powder are us.
A specialty makeup shop.
Specialty makeup.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a question here.
So you're inquiring about possible projects for this Halloween, and how would you do without like craft stores sell styrofoam, like styrofoam circles. Even Walmart has like different shapes of styrofoam. So if you were doing a Fruit Loop, how could you do like the face as a Fruit Loop without just resorting to getting a styrofoam circle and turning it into a hat?
Like this is styrofoam. Like this is styrofoam. Like you can incorporate it. Like what? Maybe I'm not understanding the question.
I'm not sure I do either.
Yeah, like the Fruit Loop could be like facing forward, or you could just resort to getting like a styrofoam circle and using it more like a hat. But I'm thinking more of front face.
Okay. You could use with the styrofoam. You could even use with the sorry. Waited for too long. It exploded. There. Don't do it for too long.
I've actually never seen that.
What do you mean you've never seen that?
I've seen it explode before.
Yeah, well, yeah, don't leave it for too long and don't get distracted. Don't be blonde. So I can say because I'm blonde. But yeah, I would probably take even like a cardboard or something like that. And then if you want to give it like texture, you can get like, for the Fruit Loop, maybe I would use like sponges, like these kind of sponges that you can buy at the supermarket, maybe just like to give it some texture, or like paper mache that little bit at a time, because you need to like let that dry too. Otherwise, if you have like a thick thing like this, the bottom part will never cure, will never dry. But you could do that. You have other ideas, Tara? Yes, Tara has ideas.
Of course you do.
I don't have to interrupt you. Just tell me to shut up if you need me to.
No.
One thing you can do if you really want like that 3D effect, go to the craft store and they sell like chunks of like square foam and like cut it out of that and like just like pop it on their head, and the Fruit Loop can be around and like pull at it to give it the texture and then paint it and however you want. The foam's pretty like flexible.
Oh, yeah, the foam too, yeah.
So you can just talk. You just cut the hole like slightly smaller than your head, stick your head in, and then like just you can talk. Yeah, you should be able to do that.
Take pictures. It into two parts and glue it into different sections too.
Oh yeah, there's a way to make those face like masks where you like cut the jaw and then you like add a strap from here to here attaching it, and it's like taut on your chin. So when you talk, the like mask moves with you.
To your chin, yeah.
Yeah, so you can do that.
Articulating jaw, right? So
at like Joann's Fabric, they sell like big blocks of like green Like
for
foam.
if it
You
was
could
stuffing
even
a
get-
a sofa chair or sofa seat,
my pants.
as like cushion, a seat cushion, is what we use.
You can
Yeah.
use like upholstery sponges too, like from Walmart. They're like big sheets and like maybe $7-10. Yeah. And then you can use like latex to like seal it and glue other things on top if you want to put like sprinkles for your Fruit Loop or something. Like,
I have a
Anytime.
follow-up on the Fruit Loop question. So if obviously a lot of great ideas and different ways to do it. If Chris started on the outside
feel right now,
and painted the inside and then matched it, and a lot of people will do that with different costumes. I kind of see people at the end of the night when they're using hard, solid primary colors. At the end of the night, that makeup's like falling off. We're in Florida in different climates. That's kind of peeling off a little bit. You have different makeup, and everyone's has been in front of lights here for a while. Everyone looks fresh and crisp here. How do you prevent that happening from your makeup just completely falling off like that? You see a lot of little kids. That problem is happening to their face.
And little kids are probably using whatever mommy has in their makeup drawer too. So, I would use powder to set almost all of my makeup. The powder will help to set it and to keep it on all day. Also takes off some of the shine. We also have setting sprays. So if you're using something that you just want to spray a sealer over, there's all different kinds of setting sprays that will keep all different kinds of makeup on longer. Good question, Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of have to wait now for that gelatin to cure and then peel. Like even I had some on my clothes earlier and it just peels off. So gelatin is kind of like neat compared to like sometimes like silicones or like latex. If you have it on your clothes, it's gonna stay on your clothes. Like yeah, you can peel that. See?
No, I don't.
Comes off.
Gross.
Hi, my name is Richard. I'm curious, since it's gelatin, is it similar to the edible gelatin where you can make edible costumes?
It is.
And
It is.
Could
It's
you
just
actually,
unflavored.
Could you,
You
actually
can eat
portray?
it.
Could you actually portray the models eating each other using these materials?
I guess if that's your thing.
Well, no, I mean like.
Yeah, no, it's edible. It
Okay.
is edible.
It's a
It
food
is
product.
gross because there's no flavoring in it, and it's. Well, I mean,
Depending,
you know what?
depending what you
Yeah.
put in, but if you stick with the basic ingredients, so like just gelatin powder and glycerin, those and water, those are all things that you can eat too. If
Do they actually do that though, like on screen?
If they're like tearing each other's flesh apart, is
Yep.
that a good product to use? Or
Yep.
they're,
I've
or
had
they're
like
biting
a friend
each other?
that
and
had to
you-
do like someone that was eating a heart.
Yes.
Or like a brain too. I had to,
Gross.
and they made it with gelatin.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Good question.
And also, by the way, that stuff will
I will be here in 5 days.
it will mold after a while. So if you want to keep your gel, put it in the refrigerator.
Question down front here.
So you had mentioned earlier with newer media having a higher resolution, such as 4K and Ultra HD, and it makes makeup more difficult. Are there any instances where you work with people in post-production with like color grading or something like that to kind of help the makeup look more realistic?
I have never been personally invited to help with post-production, but I assume that that's what they do in post-production. If something looks off or weird, that they would just fix it. Yeah, it wouldn't be too hard. And the thing about HD is that you can't see with your eye what it shows. So you have to always look on the monitor of what it actually looks like.
Oh, that's really good advice, to look at the monitor. Well,
Yep.
Kim, we need to get you
Kind of
invited
like
more to some post sessions here.
Good idea.
Good
I would
there.
love to.
Removing that gelatin was kind of oddly pleasant. But oddly. I'll stick with oddly. I think I'm just going to put it on top. Oh.
We have a question over here.
Awesome.
I'm the messy one, if you haven't noticed.
Caesar, what are you using to? What are you what tool are you using right now?
Caesar?
Yeah.
Caesar wants to
What
know
are
what
you
you're
using
using.
right now?
Oh, the tone?
Yeah.
It's a little bit. It's a mixture of everything, pretty much.
No, the tool.
Oh, the tool. Oh, this is what girls use to brush their.
It's an
their
eyebrow
Like
brush.
guys don't.
Eyebrow
Come
brush.
on.
It's an eyebrow brush.
Yeah.
And what he's
so pretty
doing.
much, it's like a. If you don't have money to buy this, use your old brush too. That's what I used to do.
You can use a toothbrush. You can use a little cleaning brush. But if you dip something in some liquid and flick it with your finger, it's gonna make that splatter. That splatter look.
So,
Which
pretty
is
much, I'm doing the cheapest version of what I do. This is acrylic. No, it's not acrylic paint, but it's water-based paint. I used to what I do is pretty much to use this. There's a Skin Illustrator that is like 90% alcohol, and that will it has like a translucity because of the alcohol. Meanwhile, this one works, but I use it because of I want to give you some tips so you guys can do it at home, you know. So pretty much this is the cheapest version of what I do.
By the way, Brand, that is awesome.
Thanks.
You know, we're kind of getting to, and at the end, I notice you're doing a lot of highlight and shadowing going on. You know, I see on Val's, she's making the
I'm
pumpkin
behind
creases, you know, well known a little bit. Kim's made the eyes darker on the edges so we can kind of see or imagine depth. And Caesar's really starting to color in the black on top, and you can see the burns that Brad's has on the side and at the base of the horn there. And you guys make it look so easy, but man, the highlights and the shadowing and kind of people talk about the direction. Does where the light's coming from have something to do with that? Is it, I guess there's a whole different ways to do that. But
yeah, there is, and there's ways to adjusting, but for the most part, we would just go in and tackle everything the same, and then if we see that there's some weird lighting thing going on, then we would adjust it that way. I would ask the lighting to adjust first, and they would say no, and then I would adjust my makeup. So, but with the shading and the highlighting, that's what really makes everything look three-dimensional. It really makes it look pop, makes it look more realistic. That's what it is. When you do that highlight and shadow, it makes it look more real, three-dimensional.
I keep hearing it. I see what y'all are doing, and I know that we can't hear a lot from the subjects themselves, but
except for.
You're right. Yeah. Yes. But there's always two sides to the story. Meaning there's the creative side, and there's the what is happening to my body and face side. You know.
Should we talk to Amanda?
Well,
no, she's like
I'm,
loving life
I'm just
right
thinking.
now.
Before we do that, though, I want to say, Caesar.
You can smile.
Sorry.
I assume your subject there was. Bear with me here. Late teens, early 20s. Somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, you will see the outfit that she has.
Now she looks like she's in her somewhere in her hundreds, somewhere rotting. Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, we've been watching, and then you would move, and we'd see, wow, this person's changing, and then also with the pardon the phrase here, pumpkin head there. Just really well done, and it's hard to see the other person. I really can't look you in the eye right now, because.
I can't look in the eye either.
You don't got any eyes, all right? And demon guy, stay away from me. That's cool.
Thank you.
all right, we have about 5 more minutes left. 5 more minutes to wrap things up on there. Question-wise, we're getting closer to the finishing looks.
What do you have left
here.
to do? Just so we know,
Or-
in case we can't finish
Or
it all.
maybe
What is
7. It depends on Val.
What I'm left to do,
No, just-
pretty much.
No pressure.
A lot.
A lot.
But pretty much, I'm gonna do it real quick. So to recreate really old, nasty hair,
Yeah.
I like to use petroleum jelly. It looks wet. It looks nasty, and you can actually mold you have more control of the hair.
So when you say petroleum jelly, you mean like Vaseline?
Yes.
Too? Yeah, Vaseline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
thing.
And you put that in her hair.
Yeah.
On that.
So I'm gonna give you like a small demonstration.
Yeah, I should have done a lot of things.
If I open this.
What's funny about these looks too is that, usually farther away you get more grace too, but your looks actually look better up close. I mean, just more detailed and stuff, which is great to see that. I mean,
Thank you. So that's the difference between theater makeup and film makeup. Theater makeup looks great far away. Film makeup should look great up close.
Yeah.
You can get away with a lot more things with theater.
Caesar, we're seeing from the crowd here too. We can kind of even see already right now how that's making a difference.
Yeah, so pretty much what I like to do is to have
that
the
is super
Vaseline
gross.
in my hands, and I start just put it everywhere, and you can actually take a little bit of the hair and put it like on top of her eye.
So a long stringy, yeah. So like I said earlier, pay attention to the hair. Like think about that when you're planning your costume to include the hair, because that will really help to pull your look off. Especially if you're doing a look-alike of something. If you're trying to look like something else, the hair has to match.
References.
References
are so helpful.
Yeah.
For anything you do, like just
whole pictures. Yeah.
references.
Yep.
Helps a lot.
Pinterest. I actually collect.
Pinterest is my main source.
I actually collect pictures of gore things, like real life things, like car accidents and stuff when people get all sorts of messed up.
Yeah.
I have a huge collection of them. Yeah. Sometimes my friends show me that. They're like, look how disgusting that is. Like, that's awesome. Can you send that to me?
Mm-hmm. That's called a morgue.
Yeah, it's
collection.
I keep it in my morgue. It's just anytime they're like, hey, can you do this? I'm like, yes. I got
Let me look through my Rolodex.
Real life references, like our Google searches are just crazy.
They're gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. Burnt bodies.
Yeah.
Not
it
the
is,
greatest, but it
even
works.
like if you have to do somebody that is sick, to know what that disease really is going to look like in somebody, it's important.
Something I've done is I've researched why bruises like happen and how they happen to figure out the different stages of bruises to make them like look realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they go through stages. What's the first stage?
It's like just red, and then it just gets a little darker, and then it turns like the yellowy green.
Yep.
That's what comes last. So if someone is in a fight and they get punched, and then like a little bit while later you want to see the bruise, you just make it like red with a little bit of dark red in the center, and then not until like days
the next day
later
or the day after,
does it get darker, and then like a couple days later does it turn yellow in that green color.
Yep.
So you really gotta research stages of things too to make it look more realistic.
True. Yep.
And then like same bullet holes, entry and exit wounds look different.
Big difference.
Can
Things I've
can
learned
I
from Beast
can I
Two.
borrow a little bit of your blood?
I'm just regurgitating everything I've learned from Beast Two.
Yeah.
And like makeup tutorials.
Kim, can I borrow a little bit of your blood?
The blood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want just a little?
Yeah, in that cup. Yeah. Thank you.
I got
So
plenty.
basically, I'm kind of done, and I just like to have fun and put blood everywhere. Because
I like to have fun and put blood everywhere.
Two things.
Just
If
sounds
it
wrong.
if you think it's looking a little wonky, either cover it in blood or glitter. That's like if you're doing someone's eyeshadow and you're like, this just doesn't look right. You just throw some glitter on it and got a cut on
Yeah,
someone's arm. The edges are peeling. Just throw some
taste
blood
it.
on it. It helps. Or
does.
you know.
Cover it in blood or glitter. Got it.
Yep, that's how you fix your mistakes. Blood and glitter. Or both at the same time. That
So
could
as
work.
we're finishing up our
If you're, like,
looks here too, would you mind just because I was as walking around too, can we just have each model just kind of come in the middle and stand right here so we can get kind of a better look at things? Perfect. Scary.
Let me take this off.
So you can kind of see all around just the finishing look on there.
Ellie.
I'm not done. I'm behind.
Belle's
You're doing
flicking
good,
orange
Val.
paint on me.
Finish strong. Val.
Sorry, Kim.
Well, pretty much, I mean, we don't have enough time,
Like,
but
awesome.
also the hands, don't forget hands, don't
Yep.
forget feet.
Anything that's gonna show, you want to cover with makeup.
Also, we don't have time, but I like to also paint the teeth. So when she opens her mouth, it's gonna be like nasty.
You guys, we didn't have time for that, and I
Yeah.
did want to show you that today. It's a really cool thing that you can do to your teeth to discolor it, or you can put black on it to make it disappear, look like it's gone. And it really is a great, easy trick to do, and it's very effective.
What's
Look.
What's that product?
It's called tooth enamel. Tooth
Okay.
enamel, and it comes in black and green,
nicotine
and nicotine
color.
is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did a little Austin Powers, right?
Yeah,
How much time do you
makes
do
such
we
a
have?
difference.
We have about, Timmy, how much time do we have? 2 minutes.
Okay, I
You
can
could
do
give
that.
somebody a gap between their
Here.
teeth just by putting
Yeah.
a little strip of black in the
I
middle
have
there.
Vaseline in my hand.
Highly
Can
effective.
you open this?
Oh my God.
Things are happening. Ideally, I would
Things
stick
are
these-
happening.
Things
I
are
would
happening.
stick these with more
Scarecrow.
gelatin, but I know that we don't have
Val is
time.
covering her pumpkin with moss, not instead of
And,
glitter.
Yeah, it's not always blood or glitter. Sometimes it's like
Moss.
Right.
there.
It's good here.
Hey there.
Because why not? Maybe this is a little bit randomly put in there, but
Yeah, that's great.
Guys, I just want to say thank you for coming today. I
Yes.
really appreciate that you showed up and
Big hands for
come
our
hang out
makeup
with
team.
us. And Dave Franco, thank you.
Thank you, Dave
Thank
Franco.
you,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
And I'd really like to thank our library team. Library,
Thank
where are you guys?
Library.
Woo.
Thank you,
everyone.
Stephanie.
For putting on this event for all of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look at that. If you get a chance, I really, and if the models, if you guys wouldn't mind to, if you could hang out just for a few more minutes, it'd be wonderful. On your way out, if you want to kind of walk here, we've got a lot of cables up front, but if you can kind of come close before you leave and kind of, I know it's kind of weird that we're going to be looking, staring at you guys strangely and doing that, but you really get to see a lot of things that you can't see back from where you're sitting. We're going to make sure our friends online, thank you for joining us too. They get a chance to see it because the camera's up real close. With the people live, you might not have a better view of some of the makeup as our friends online. So I ask you maybe to come a little bit closer and kind of look at the looks and see the detail on this. It's pretty amazing stuff. Once again, we thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Makeup. Thank you,
guys.
Library Live team. And have a wonderful evening from Full Sail University.
Have a great
We're
night,
out.
everybody.
Night.
Thank you.